Now let's talk about how to use a point slope equation. It's actually very similar to the slope-intercept graphing, except we use a different point to start with. This is easiest to use if you're working with lines that don't cross the y-axis. So for our example, let's start with a line up here at the top. Now I'm zooming in just to get a better sense of where we are. I'd like to get the line that goes from here to here. So this little diagonal line, it doesn't cross the y-axis, so I can't match a y-intercept very easily, but what we can do is this. I want to make sure my line goes through a point that touches the top of this line. So let's click on this line for a moment and see where it ends. So it says undefined. I'm going to come down just a little to get the x-coordinate. Okay, so the x-coordinate of this point is 0.925. and the y-coordinate is 4.57. I'm going to come over here to one of these point slope equations. That's got the parentheses. Let's start by putting in the coordinates of our points. So 0. I've already forgotten what the number was. So it was what? 925 and 457. Okay. 925 and 457. Now here's the fantastic thing. When we now adjust the slope by putting a number in front of the parentheses, the line's going to tilt, but it's always going to go through this point right here. So if I make the line steeper, doesn't matter. It still is going to pass through this point. If we make the line less steep, doesn't matter. It's still going to pass through this point. So we just now have to find the right tilt so that it goes down and touches this other line that we already have. Now, you don't have to guess and check. You can actually find the coordinates of this point and calculate the slope like we have done in a previous unit. Nothing wrong with that. However, it's also not bad to just do a little guess and check. Let's start with just a slope of 1. Okay, that's not quite steep enough, so I want my slope to be above 1. Let's try 1.5. Okay, that's too much. Now the line is too steep. How about 1.2? To be honest, 1.2 looks pretty good. Now, just to get a sense, I'm going to click off to the side for a moment. Okay, see how it goes a little bit past the tip there? That's fine, but I want to adjust it maybe a little bit. Let's try 1.15. I like the look of that a little bit better. So I've got the angle right. I started by matching a particular point. We're now ready to shorten our line. Now, when you're doing your shortening, it still has to be in braces. And you still want to do the same sort of thing you did before. I want to go either from left to right. That's the easiest. That's the way I'm going to do it. So let's see. Over here, I want to go until my x is about 0.547. So I want the x's that are above about 0.547. Now here's the thing. I want to be a little bit more precise. Don't I want this diagonal line to stop where this vertical line started? I'm going to click on this vertical line just to remind myself, okay, the x-coordinate I want is actually 0.55. So back down to my restrictions. Let's not guess it. I'm just going to make this a 0.55. Nice. Now I have my diagonal line stopping right where my vertical line already is. On the other end, I want to go to 0.925. Okay. So a second restriction. I want to keep x's that are less than 0.925. And just like that, doesn't that look gorgeous? We now have that diagonal line right where it needs to be. It's starting to take shape. It's always rewarding when you start to see your picture come together. Okay, nice. Let's go again. How about, I think I want to stay up top here. Let's now do this little diagonal line segment. So this little diagonal line segment, I want to go through, well, let's have it go right here. So at 0.55 undefined isn't helpful. So you'll notice that because of how we define things, it'll occasionally say undefined. Just go down a little bit or to the side a little bit and you can get a good estimate. So I want my x-coordinate to be 0.55, and and I want my y-coordinate to be 4.13. So down to here, 0.55 for the x, and 4.13 for the y. I'm going to make it easier to see by changing the color. Okay, now no matter what we do, as we change the slope, it's always going to go through this point. It'll just tilt through here, kind of like a lever on a fulcrum. Now slope-wise, I hope you can see this line is going down, so we want to have a negative slope. Now -1, that's too steep. So let's try it -0.5. That doesn't look bad. It's still a little bit too steep though, so how about -0.4? That's not steep enough. So now we're in the middle game, trying to find a number. I like that, actually. That looks pretty good to me. Okay, so about a -0.47. Very cool. Now, as far as our restrictions go, we've got to now cut off just the part of the line that we want. It's easiest to go from left to right. I'd like to have it go from right about here, so a 0.137, over to here, which is 0.55. So I want 0.137 to be the low end, and the high end to be 0.55. And just like that, you've got your line segment shortened. So a quick zoom out, see how things look. There you go. That's how you use your point slope equation to make sure that you get lines where you want them. Start by finding your point, put that in first. Then adjust your slope to get the tilt right going through the other points that you want.